of our family.
Hey family, what is up? Welcome to another public Q&A here at Lancaster and Amish.
Yeah. Yeah, you're good.
All right, we're good. Let us know if you can hear us okay. And see
I can hear all of us in here. I got my mic on.
You got your mic on? Awesome. All right. Welcome, family. I'm your host, CJ Jamie. This is Sifu Fu. We have Sifu Larry manning out all the camera angles and everything and the sound behind the scenes. What's going on today?
Triggered.
You're triggered?
Oh, no, man.
Oh, man. You're starting off triggered. That's bad.
I think I might as well start off triggered.
Okay. Well.
So what are we doing today?
So, I don't know. We're about to find out and see who's currently on.
Oh, you know what I'm doing? Look, you notice how it looks a little bit better?
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
I bumped the bit rate up on the input and the output of I didn't know if it would slow it down or not, but look, it looks really cool. Like, we look like we're on TV,
you know,
man.
we talked about this before, like
TV,
years ago. We tested this out.
It worked then, too?
Yeah, it worked then, too.
I'm just so lazy. Because I'm lazy.
Because you're lazy.
I'm just so, even when I record, like, music stuff, man, I could do things so much better, and I just don't because I'm a slacker.
Stop being a slacker, bro.
I'm a slacker.
It's not becoming
I like donuts. And I hit hard.
Maybe you should work on those things.
I could poke. Don't hit me. Don't go there.
Not today, brother. Not today.
Behind me, Satan.
All right. So right now we have CLR on. We have Errol coming in from London, UK. Shozan is on. It says today on Tai Chi Z. I'm not sure what the Z is for. Let me know. Obviously, family, we're here to talk about Kung Fu, martial arts, Kung Fu, wellness, fitness, and anything else within reason. And I see that Sifu Larry just, bombed the camera while I'm going through roll call over here. We have Guy coming in from Israel. Shalom, brother. Let's see. Ed is also on. We have Chisao musician. We have Zal on, which I don't recognize you, so I don't know if you're new, but welcome, and we'll go over your question here shortly. I think there was someone right before you, though. I think Guy was before you, so we'll cover him, too. I didn't see any in the email, any questions, so we are good to go on those ones. All right, we have KS. I'm ready. Awesome. Edie Tolby. Hey, Edie Tolby, good to see you on. Let's see, I think I got everyone over here. The magic of Eric Hershey, okay. Coming in from Lancaster, PA.
My aunt lived there.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I used to go there all the time.
Well, Hershey, that's where Hershey lives.
Wow.
I wonder.
Who's Hershey?
I know, where's he
It's that chocolate bar thing that, people like to eat.
Hershey,
that's what Hershey is.
Well, no, this is Eric Hershey. We're talking about Hershey.
Oh.
We got Errol saying, okay, you guys are talking back and forth. All right, cool. Let's see who we have on Facebook. We have Marcos. And we got my brother Terry coming in from Texas. Good to see you on. All right. And I just realized, Marcos, you are on twice. Okay, so you're on as Chisao musician, and then you're over on Facebook. Cool. All right, family, if you haven't already, please go ahead and strike the like. Make sure you hit the, tap the bell, hit subscribe, and make sure to hit the little bell notification too, to let them know, like, yes, we want to know these people do videos and they go live for real, for real, for real. Thank you in advance. Also, feel free to share this out to all your favorite platforms and all that good stuff.
I can see I'm dark.
Yeah, you've been out in the sun a lot.
Yeah.
Working hard. What are you gonna do?
So I gotta talk about this. So there was
are you gonna start driving your car?
So there was this time, right? It was I think I was 20 years old, maybe. 20 years old, man, that was like a couple lifetimes ago. And Sifu had a bowl haircut, man. He looked like an Asian beetle or something. You know what I'm talking about? It was just a bowl. And I worked in a lumber yard, and I used to move like thousands of things at sheetrock and hundreds and hundreds of 2x4s and 2x8s, 16-foot, 20, breaking my back.
In, right?
No, this was in
a different place. Okay.
This was in up near Cherry Hill, and
that's when you guys were driving. You and your friend were driving past.
Yeah. That's how we met Sifu.
Okay, that's how you found him. All right.
and I said to Sifu, I said, hey man, do you ever have a job? He goes, yeah, I worked once in my life. I used to work at a gas station. I'm like, a gas station. I'm sweating. And from there I went to warehouses, and I was sweating in warehouses, and I'd go to class, and he'd be swinging like a pendulum. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm happy that Sifu's walking around working, but
What you're saying is it makes you feel a little bit better, a little bit. Just a tiny bit.
I understand how you feel now.
It's like all those times.
It makes my teeth look whiter, being darker.
Right, you just lined your teeth up just by going out in the sun. All right, so Guy says, I wanted to ask Sifu what parts of NDN he learned from his family and what parts he learned from other sources. That's a good question.
Well, all of my teachings come from me. Okay, all the principles, all the rhyming stuff, all the acronyms, that's all from me. Nobody ever taught me any of that. I broke it down that way.
He started making that to help Sifu Larry understand what was going on because it was really hard teaching him.
Sifu Larry
I'm
didn't know
stupid. Dude, you have to tell me like I'm a 2-year-old.
He's the reason the NDN principles exist, okay? I'm serious.
And then even then, I'm not so sure I understand.
I'd be like, look, you got to use your left hand. And we're like, okay. I think your other left hand. He's like, okay. Come on. No, but anyways, but all the principles, all the rhyming stuff, all the acronyms, all that stuff, 100% me. It wasn't from anybody that I got from. In terms of the principles, the basic principles I got from my grandfather, the understanding of how the energy works and all that stuff, but the way I break it down, that all came from me. Like my grandfather didn't say, you got to get your base, you got to get your drive, you got to get your torque. He would say, you got to be heavy here, you got to put that here. But he never broke it down that way for me to understand it in a scientific level. He just told me how it had to be done. It's like, best analogy is like you driving a car, like you know how to drive a car, you know how it feels, you know how to make it move, but you don't know how it works. And that's, if you're a mechanic, you may, okay, but I'm saying for those who don't know cars.
Right, that internal mechanism.
The internal mechanism, how it works, it's like I learned how to break down the car and learn the internal mechanics. Most people, like when they're taught to just have to drive the car. Look, gas, brake, steering wheel. That's it. And you just learn how to maneuver that way. That's the way when my grandpa taught me, it was more like, get it like this, get it like this. But he didn't break it down for me to understand the science behind it. That's something I started, just developing as I trained and understood it better, what he was trying to say. I learned how to break it down so I can say what he was trying to get me to do to everybody else to get it mentally and then physically as well. If you can understand it better, then you can practice it better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was a great question. Thanks for asking, Guy. Sal says, any suggestions on how to divide up a training session when you know too many forms of Tai Chi, Bakwa, and so on and so forth? I mean, what to practice? Any tips would be welcomed. I am overwhelmed.
Listen, I went through the same thing. I have 5 animals. I had the 5, the 5 animals: the tiger, leopard, snake, dragon, crane. I did the 5 animal system as a form in itself. When chun, all the chum, kyo, LG, Som Tao, the weapons form. I had this 2 other pole forms I did arnis. So I had a lot in my command, my skills, So the way I did it is I would practice something for a month. I don't practice it and alternating every day because it's like, to me, to develop your skill, the physical body, the memory, everything, you can't just practice it once a week.
Right.
So I would practice on a 30-day repetition and get down to my body to refine the techniques. Then the next month I would do another and then another. So like sometimes people go, what's your favorite animal? And to me it's like, it depends on the month that I was training, because if I'm focused on that, that's my favorite animal that time. So if I was practicing snake that month, people are like, what's your favorite animal? Like, right now it's snake, because that's the feel I have. That's the movement. Everything feels that way. The next week it might be, next month it would be like a tiger. And I'd be like, oh, you're a tiger. I love the way it moves. I love the way it just depends. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many forms you know. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's about refining the technique and making that you're controlling every movement properly. It doesn't matter forms. Forms is just a name. It's just a movement that you have to do. The question is how you move that's more important. I didn't focus on snake being like, it has to be this way by a snake. I focused on feeling how the snake had to move that way. Feeling how the leopard had to move a certain way. Feeling how it was me more not to get the form, but to feel the energy behind that form. It's the same thing. Best analogy I can give you is like learn how to dance. If you're just dancing to different music, but you don't feel beat, and you just listen to the sound and you just go with whatever that the music is, but never feeling it inside, to get the music from inside out, and you're just like a dance stepper, like like you're looking like a dance form, you're just memorizing the movement, but never feeling the music. It's the same kind of idea. You got to learn to feel the music. When you're practicing form, it doesn't matter which one it is, okay? They're all beneficial to you, okay, as long as you do it properly. Okay, you can do Silam Tao internally, you can do it externally. You can do Tai Chi internally, you can do it externally. You can do karate internally, you can do it externally. It's just a matter how you want to do it. The question is making sure that you do it right, properly to the energy. That's the most important thing, because you can practice, you know, like a friend of mine always says, like it's not a matter of how long you've been on the road, it's how far you go on it. You could be on the road for 10 years and only went a mile. Someone who went for 6 months and traveled 20 miles. It's not about just doing it. Okay, you could do it forever, but never get it right. You know, I tell my students when they play the practice the Tai Chi form, I say, listen, it's not about just doing it to get it over with.
Right,
Don't do it just to get it over with. Do it so you can feel what's inside that and get it out. You know, I tell my students all the time, don't just like, oh, okay, I just got to do the routine, got to go. You're not gaining what it's supposed to teach you. You're just going through the routines now, and it's no longer something that you're gaining out of the energy control. You're just doing muscle memory without the energy behind it. So it's like learning how to squeeze a trigger on a gun, but never learn how to aim. Yeah, you can, you know, pow, 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 squeeze out rounds, and you might squeeze, you know, 14 rounds out within less than 2 seconds, but you didn't hit a single target. That doesn't mean anything. It's about learning how to get that point, getting that energy, getting that. So for me, like I said, I did once a month, one form. Okay, you can do whatever you want. You say, I might be too long. I might. That's fine. You know,
Were there
do whatever
certain
makes.
things like that you did all the time, like Tai Chi, qigong, and core training? Did you always do those and then like add on stuff?
In my early days, I didn't do all of it. It was just too much.
Right.
You know, I would focus on one type of training. So if I did the tiger, I'd do tiger. If I did Tai Chi, I would do the qigong Tai Chi. I'd do all that in that month's time. I didn't touch the other parts of the forms. If I had it in my repertoire for 30 days, I wouldn't forget it after 30 days. You know, doing something else, I wouldn't forget it. And I practiced it for so many years, so many. I can't forget it. Okay, it's kind of like going to another country and not speaking English because you learn how to speak French and not speaking English for 30 days. Like you're not going to forget English. You know, it's just something that you just get. You might forget a few words here and there in your lifetime if you're 10 years somewhere, but you're not going to forget the core of it. You're not going to forget the gist of it. You'll probably go back to America and still understand everything and still be able to do that. So it's the same kind of idea. I would say if you didn't speak it for 16 years, 17 years, maybe you can forget. Same thing with the form. But if you're doing it 30 days, unless you have a hard time remembering what you did yesterday, you won't forget it. Again, it's about muscle memory anyways. It's not getting it in your brain, it's getting your body. Forms are made up so you can develop the body's natural repetition to doing movements, not so you can memorize sequences. It's not what it's for. Okay? So hopefully that helps.
All right. I hope that I see that Matthew had asked a similar question about how do you balance out practicing all the different forms. I hope that makes sense. You can, and there's multiple ways, to, do it. Obviously, like Sifu Larry. Are you still in the room, Sifu Larry?
Yes.
No, he's not.
How did you balance out learning the different forms and stuff like that and practicing them? Because I know you probably had a slightly different format.
Yeah, I didn't have videos. I didn't have a website I could go to. I wasn't a member or nothing.
You didn't have no
He had to write down notes. I made him come to class and write down notes.
And then I had to pay for extra lessons because I couldn't remember none. So I had to,
and you're looking at your notes like,
I had to add more lessons to learn the same stuff that I learned the week before because I didn't remember it because, when I was young, I wasn't really, we just won't talk about that right now. Anyhow, so long story short, what I really did with my forms with Silam Tao, Chum Kyu, Bilji, the staff forms, the swords, the Jong, Tai Chi, guitar, singing, whatever it is that I mess around with, it usually comes because I put an crazy amount of hours into it. So for me, 7 days a week, I would do my core training, I would do my forms, like I would actually do my forms, do my core training, maybe lift some weights. And when I first started training, I had people around me who all did all sorts of martial arts. So regularly every week I had people to spar with, wrestle with, fight with. But it was a lot of hours, because I listened to Sifu. Sifu would tell me what he did, and I try to, they say that if you want to be successful at something, find someone who's successful at it and model what they're doing, and that's kind of what I did. Even I tell my students when I play Chi Sao or I do something, or as I was learning, I in my mind would imagine what it felt like to be Sifu, what it felt like when I was playing him, and I tried to be him playing whomever.
So he bit his student's nipple.
So I bit every one of my students, I bit their nipples, man. They
Whoa,
look at me.
I was gonna say you have not done that to me,
Give it time.
and don't think about it, bro. You're gonna be hurting, okay? You're gonna be hurting, okay?
I think if you bit
Promise
your nipple, you'd be hurting.
I would, but as soon as I recover, I'm coming for you, okay? For me, I do it maybe a little bit differently. Like for me, there's like certain things that are my like must-tos. Like my qigong, I have to do that on a regular basis. Not because I'm gonna forget it, but because I like the health benefits from it, the energy, the mental clarity. I notice if I go like a week without it, like I just don't feel 100%. So for me, like that's like a non-negotiable for me to make sure that I do that at least one time a day. And I tell people it's like medicine. If you're extra stressed, you know, you need to do more. Like there's this quote I've seen like online that's like talking about like how long should you meditate, and you know like the monk is like well you know like however long you want. They're like, well, I'm really busy, and so it's 15 minutes, okay? And they're like, no, you need to do like an hour. So basically, the more busy you are, the more you need to focus on quieting your mind and quieting your spirit and taking care of yourself so you can be less stressed throughout your day. And qigong's kind of the same way. The more problems you have, the more stress you got going on, the more you need to be doing your qigong. So that for me is a non-negotiable. And then I usually follow that up with my Tai Chi, mainly because for me, I will forget stuff if it's been months. I don't know if it's like my ADD. I really don't know what it is. Like I'll remember bits and pieces, but it definitely won't be as good. So for me, repetition is king on that. And then like I practice, you know, my Silam Tao, my core training, and then I work on whatever, you know, Sifu Larry wants to work on with me that week, or if I'm with a training partner, there might be different things that we're working on and stuff like that. So that's how I do it. So there's no right or wrong way to do it as long as you are training correctly with whatever you're training in. So you really have to find your groove and what works for your schedule, and don't like be super stressed out, because again, it's not the hours that you train, it's the quality training in those hours. And what I love about what we do at Enter Shalom personally is with the Nudak Knot principles, these things are things that you can apply to your everyday movement. So you can really work on practicing the principles, whether you're washing the dishes or mowing the grass or cooking or dancing or playing sports or whatever else that you do in your spare time or at work and things like that. So that's how I do that. Errol's cracking up about the nipple biting. Yeah. yeah. Please don't do that to me. That will not be fun. She's a musician. Okay, you guys are talking back and forth. So we took care of Matt. We took care of Zal. Let's see what else we got going on there. Toby says, I divide the days up. Like one day I do my TKD forms, then another day my Shorin-Ru forms, and then my Silam Tao and so on. Cool. I think that's, you know, how a lot of people train, so that's cool. He says, and my question from last week, what's the difference between traditional Wing Chun and modified Wing Chun? I know FMA has modified, and I want to know the difference.
Okay.
Good question.
The modified came from the William Chung system. He called his system the traditional, and he called everybody else's modified. And again, I don't believe that there's such a thing as traditional and modified. He claimed that he was the only one that was taught behind closed doors the proper Wing Chun. He taught everybody else the wrong way. This is his claim. I don't believe it. You know, it doesn't make sense that he would teach William Chung, who he said he adopted as a son, but he wouldn't teach his own two sons the right way.
Weird.
So
I don't know. I'm calling
you know,
sketch.
and I think they ended that argument because his sons had documents that his father had the form and everything, so they kind of said, okay, we're going to show you what my father showed. But at the end of the day, who cares? It doesn't really matter. It's got to, first of all, it's got to be efficient and effective, right? It's got to work, okay? Even Yip Man supposedly changed the Wing Chun that he learned, okay? There was supposed to be 116 forms in the Zhang. He changed it to 112. He removed 4 from what I've read, okay? Who cares, you know, as long as it works for you and you can make it your own system. Bruce Lee took his Wing Chun that he learned, and he made it into something else. If you watch Jeet Kune Do, yeah, he took fencing techniques, he took boxing techniques, he took a little bit of it, but you can see his core principle that he used is still Wing Chun. When you watch his videos with students, he's doing Chi Sao with them, he's using the strikes, yeah, he does the kicks and he adds all that stuff, but that's his modification of what Wing Chun. Kung Fu was never supposed to be binding.
Right.
Okay, it's never supposed to be like this is it, and there's no other way to go about it. It was always changing. That's why we have so many forms. That's
Right,
why we
so
have so many
they
styles.
yeah.
That's why there's many different styles of Tai Chi. There's many different styles of Wing Chun, supposedly. You know, you've got the Muyat Wing Chun version. You got a Wing Chun version. You got Augustine Fang. You got all kinds of Som Taos, and you can see slight variations of forms and how they do it. Okay, and you know, like I've always said it before. I've said it many, many times. How either Ip Man was very, very, very smart, or he's very, very crazy, because you can watch all his students that he's taught, and you'll see different forms, variations of Som Tao.
Right.
So either he was saying to one student like, no, 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 don't do it this way. No, 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 do it this way. And then to another student, I didn't say to do it that way. I said to do this way. That's it. Or he knew that everybody has their own particular way of moving that makes sense, that works
Right.
well with them, and he allowed it because there's room to adjust, to adapt to the person who's doing the form, and that's the way martial arts is always supposed to have been. Today we get stuck on what is traditional and what is this. No, martial arts is supposed to ever change because combat changes, fighting style changes. Bruce Lee said the biggest difference that he found coming from China when he fought to America is like, they don't like to stick. They don't like to stay close. That's why he started adapting. He wrote a book out where he started doing like the savant type of kicks, where he did low kicks, low side kicks, slant kicks, incorporate the Wing Chun, so he could learn how to disengage them from running away and then engage back to get to the Wing Chun. And again, he was adaptable to that. And martial arts was always supposed to be the ability to adapt. There are styles that are designed to counter other styles. Even in Japan, they had styles that counter other styles. They said, and I don't quote me and say I'm right or wrong, because I think it was Shoin-ryu. I think it was that one. Or a Shotokan, one of the two. It was very powerful. The Japanese could not beat it. It was just, they block and then we get crushed, until they started developing like Aikido Jiu-Jitsu, where they started bending with the force and moving with it. Again, I'm not very big history in the Japanese art, but I did read it in a martial arts magazine before. But you know, styles are designed to fight
To adapt and
other styles, and it was mainly made to counter that specific style. So, but martial arts has always and should always be the ability to adapt. And you know, MMA is a great sign that, you know, martial arts is adapting to things. You know, they take, you know, certain kicks, punches, movements, and they incorporate jiu-jitsu in it. They incorporate wrestling into it. You know, that's what the Gracies did. You know, the difference between Gracie jiu-jitsu and traditional jiu-jitsu is Gracies actually use wrestling techniques. They learn how to do like the rush, the takedowns, learn how to do mounting and stuff like that based on wrestling type of techniques. And they use other type of techniques to incorporate that, call it Gracie jiu-jitsu. You know, they made it their art, and they learned how to, you know, spread it out there. So and it's effective, but you see it's not as effective today when people start adapting to do the ground and pound. Jiu-jitsu doesn't stand as strong as it used to because people adapt it, and that's what martial arts is supposed to do. Have the ability to adapt, to overcome whatever it is that's fighting there, exposing the weak points, and adapt to that. That's what Bruce Lee always said. Look, if I'm weak here and my martial arts doesn't cover it, I'm going to find another style that can help it. He learned jiu-jitsu to help him fight from the ground. He learned fencing type of technique to lunge at someone faster. You know, savate to do the kicks. He adapted. And that's what Kung Fu really is. You know, back in the day, that's what it's just. Bruce Lee made it famous. He made it worldwide known. But martial arts from the Shaolin, they have many different styles, and it's always been that way. But today, you know, we get caught in traditions. We get caught in that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But be open-minded to say, if this isn't working, I need to adapt and make it work. And that's what you're supposed to do. Now, William Chung said that his system, like I said, is the traditional. Everybody else is modified. You know, and I don't believe it. You know, like I said, because why would Ip Man teach him the right way and not his two sons? You know, like it doesn't make sense to me that way, the logic behind it. But that's traditionally like, according to the William Chung system, like it's a 50-50 stance. You know, they hold their tons like this instead of like this. You know, there's certain variations that they do. And again, it doesn't really matter as long as it works and you can make it work. I tell people all the time, don't look at structure, okay? Look at the energy control that's behind the structure. That's what matters. That's what really matters, okay? It's like fighting on a slanted hill, you know, like you adapt, right? You know, if I'm on a slant, I would pick one knee up higher to get myself level to be able to fight, okay? It's all about adapting. And it doesn't matter, you know, whether you do a ton like this. Well, then if it's like this, you know, naturally your hand will go up. So maybe you have to interject it higher when you intercept. It just depends. Again, I can go into all these, you know, like, well, if it's like, for me, whether you hold your bill style like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, it doesn't matter. The question is how do you control the energy behind what you're doing, whatever the structure is. I tell people all the time, forget structure. Don't look at structure and say, you know, Wing Chun tradition, like, oh, it has to be 6 inches from the elbow to the ribs, this arm's got to be 90 degrees, this hand's got to be this, or like this, whatever they tell you, okay? You cannot fight like that. You cannot be exact every time. It's impossible. It is impossible, okay? You cannot do it. The goal is it doesn't matter what the structure is. It's how you control the energy behind it, okay? And I talk about that all the time. I could be like this to her, and put my hand this close to me, right? Like, see how close it is? And I could even jam my elbow to my body. Push me if you can. No, push me if you can, okay? And it doesn't really matter. I could be like this here, push me if you can, and I can still do it. Because at the end of the day, I'm controlling the pressure. I'm not trying to fight the pressure. So obviously in certain positions, if you have to fight it, will be a disadvantage to you. The closer I am, the harder it is for me to withstand the pressure. The further I am, the easier it is. But here's the opposite, the weakness side. Okay, for every point you say, there's always a strength and there's always a weakness. Okay, if I'm close, I cannot sustain. If she's pushing me like this and I try to hold, there's no way I can hold that pressure. Out here, all day, she can't push that arm into me. Can you push that? No, push it into me. No way, okay? But she can control me. See, the weakness is she can turn me easier, and it's harder for me to control. Here, I can't hold the pressure. My structural integrity is compromised, but I gain the ability to control. So there's always this plus and minus to everything you do, and it's your job to make the plus the easiest and most accessible way for you to use it, and the negative is the hardest for them to access into, and that's the goal. Okay, and when you learn to study the energy, which is why NDN is awesome, because we don't get caught up into what it has to be. We focus on the principle and how to manipulate that to your advantage by the control, not by the force. So traditional, modified, don't get caught up in the name. It's just a name anyways. So if a guy says, I'm traditional, does that make him automatically the best fighter in the world? You know, versus a guy modified? It doesn't mean anything. This is you making a word up. The question is the energy right? Is the technique right? Is it efficient? Is it effective when you're doing it? I don't care what you call it. That's why boxers can beat up Wing Chun, right? It's like, how come they can beat Wing Chun guys? But they're not doing traditional Wing Chun, but still, they can still be effective. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to two things. What you give versus what you can take.
Yeah.
And the goal is to maximize your energy into what you do. Because if you can't hurt them, you're wasting time. Okay, if you can't, that's why you don't want to fight a polar bear. I don't care how good your martial arts is. If you can't do the damage to that polar bear, you're going to be food for him. Okay, but that's what it comes down to. You train to develop that power. One of the things I always, when I spar with Wing Chun guys, I say, look, you can hit me as hard as you can, and I just let them hit me, and I just walk right in and I can hit them. And it goes to show you, like, it doesn't matter if you can hit me. Just because you hit me doesn't mean it's going to stop me. I've seen people just spar and they go, oh, see, I got you. See, you would have done, like, what, because you did this? That stopped? That ain't reality. That's why MMA guys are like, go ahead, do that to me. And then they just continue to follow through with a punch. Because it's not enough to do damage. The question is can you do the damage? You train to do the damage. I always demonstrate the power at the end. People are very impressed with what we do is because we can do a lot of damage in such a short range. And that's really, at the end of the day, can you do enough damage? If you can't do enough damage, throw it out the window. Don't train to do all these deflections and hook punches and just, like, that doesn't do anything. I've had people blast me, like, I've had a Muay Thai guy elbow me 8 times, and I just walked right through him. I let him elbow me 8 times, just straight hard as he could. I just walked in there, because I was like, at the end of the day, you not generate enough power. I did, he just collapsed. I did an elbow from, like just this far away, and I generated that power, and he just went to the ground. Like, oh my gosh, and again, and that's what impresses people. If you can do the damage, not because you can do 20 hits in less than a second, or you can do this fancy circle in your hands and the body. At the end of the day, people don't respect what's beautiful. They respect what's effective. Yeah. So you got to be effective in what you do.
Yep. Don't let style define you.
That's why we always say, don't let style define you. Let energy refine you. It's not about the style. It's not about the word. It's about where your energy is and how you're doing that energy in the end.
Absolutely. It says, hello, Sifu, Sifu Jamie, and Sifu Larry. I attended my mother's funeral today. Everything went according to plan. Well, I'm happy that everything went according to plan, but I know that it's still, despite that, was probably a really rough day for you, and I will definitely be praying more for you tonight. But I'm so happy that it went well, because I do know from personal experiences when things don't go as planned, or if everyone's not in agreement on things and stuff like that, it can be rough. So I'm so happy that it was a peaceful and productive day for you and your family, and I hope it stays that way, God willing, brother. So thank you for sharing that with us, and I'm glad that you're able to make it with us, and I hope we can make you smile and laugh and have a good time today. We have a weird question from Marcos. He says, is your aunt Amish, the one that lives in Lancaster?
No.
I was going to say, there is other people that live in Lancaster. Hersey is also not Amish, in case you're wondering.
She is Asian, though. So if she's an Asian Amish, that would be the first.
That probably would be the first. That would be like a world record or something like that. But yeah, there's actually quite a bit of population in Lancaster that is not Amish, but there is obviously a large Amish community in there as well. All right, so over here, yes, of course, 80 Toby is coming in from the Windy City, absolutely. And let's see, we got that one's done. Cascade Hiker 50 is coming from Oregon. Akbar says, hey Sifu, last week's Q&A you stated the vertical fist can be turned into a horizontal fist and that the angle can't be changed. Do you disagree with the boxer's jab when they turn the fist at the last moment?
Okay.
Good question. So
here's some things. A jab is not designed to take a guy down. It's designed to stun him so the next shot you can do can hurt him. So I wasn't talking about necessarily that you can't turn your wrist. It's more they lift the elbow. That's where it's bad. When you're going like this and you turn your elbow out, you will lose a lot of power, which is why they tell you to throw your shoulders behind it, because they got to compensate for that loss. That's why they do that, okay? Can you turn your wrist? Absolutely you can.
Right.
But it's not done through the shoulder first, okay? It's done through the wrist first. When you see, like, your elbows can move one of two ways, okay? It can move one of two ways. It moves through the wrist, or it can move through the elbow. Most people use the shoulder. Most people use their shoulders to lift the elbow up, which is where it's wrong. You can turn your wrist, okay? But here's the thing. It's kind of like, why would I want to take my hand, or her hand, right? And make a fist, let's say, and take her to do this lock, and then all of a sudden try to do this way. It's counterintuitive, okay? If I start this way, I might as well just stay that way. To turn this way, you're adding more work and effort than you need to. If I had it like this on a horizontal level, and I did that from the beginning, sure. But if I'm coming straight with the elbow down, there's no reason to turn your elbow out. If my elbow's already out,
do anything to help your
it actually
process.
Makes it worse because you're taking away the base. If I was like this and I based this way, you see I'm shooting my base and I did this, then that's fine, because see, my base is always constant. See, my base right now is doing this motion. To go there and then turn it upward, that's going against the motion. That's where it's wrong. But if I have my elbow like this out here and I shot from that, and I see, notice how my base did not go to center? So if you can see from here, maybe this is better camera here. So I don't know, I can't see it. So, but if I'm going like this, right, and I shot like this, you can see I'm more centered. But if I go like this, like here, and then bring it out, you see the base is going away. Now, if I shot like from this first, you can see I still have my base, and then I can do that. That would be fine. But to go straight in the center like this and then try to come out, you see the base is lost. And that's where it's bad. Okay? Turning horizontal wrist is fine as long as the base and the drive is supporting that. To the wrist, so the wrist can turn that energy. If you're taking it away, like I said, most people do it from the shoulder. So if I'm going like it and they turn the shoulder, see the base power is gone. If you do it like this and you use your wrist to turn the base, and you notice how it doesn't go as high, but when you do it like and you lift that, that's where it's bad. That's where it's wrong. So you don't want to do it from the shoulder to bring the elbow out. You got to do it from the wrist. And when you do it from the wrist, there's only so much the wrist can turn. That means that there's only so much the elbow can move out. When the elbow goes from like this and it goes all the way up like that, that's a shoulder movement. When I do it from here like this and I do it like this, you see the elbow doesn't really go out as much. You could do that as long as the wrist leads it, if that's okay to do. If you're doing from any type of movement, the wrist has to do it to turn the angle. So if I'm going like this and I do hook, you can see, I'll do it slow, but you can see that base. So I'm going to see the base come out, so I can use the base to get that. But if you're doing like this and you're going like this, there's no base. That's a shoulder moving the arm, and that's where it's wrong. Again, You must have 3-proof to do anything. If I'm going like, there's a drill that I demonstrated on Enter Shaolin, where I taught them how to do a 3-hit punch on a single arm to 1, generate the power, 2, create the control, and 3, get the fluidity and natural movement. So if I'm doing like this, I can teach myself how to create those 3 hits. So it's like, and again, this is teaching me how to keep continuity in motion. So if I'm going like this, I can naturally flow. If I'm going like this, I can naturally go back like this. Again, it's about you learning how to get that control behind your movement, and it's through the wrist. But remember, the wrist can't do it without the drive. The drive can't do it without the base, which is why it's important to have all 3. Okay? So if I'm going like this, and I'll do it slow. If I go here and I go, you see, that's all shoulder. You see how I'm like, you can see the pull back and like the pull. And to say that's not effective, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that that won't hurt, because obviously a 250-pound man puts all his body weight behind a 200-pound guy or 150-pound. Yeah, he's going to feel that. I'm not saying that it's not effective enough. I'm just saying that the energy it takes compared to using your wrist is a lot less. It's like, what would you rather spend? You know, $50 for a tank of gas to go 500 miles, or would you rather spend $500 for the tank of gas to go 500 miles? Obviously, economy of motion is what we're looking at. We're looking at the energy. And plus, remember this, if you're using your size, if you're a 150-pound guy trying to throw your weight against a 250-pound guy, it's not going to be as effective. It works well the opposite way, where the 250-pound guy hits a 150-pound guy, sure, because he's got the size. But when you're a 150-pound guy doing it, you don't have the size. So you want to learn to use the energy. What we lack in our size and our mass and our strength, we got to gain it through the energy, through the focus and the technique. So he's got a very dull knife, which he's got a lot of strength, he can cut you, right? You cannot get the same cut if you're using the same knife as he can, because you don't have enough force. So you have to sharpen your blade to get the cut to be better, and it would take less strength. Now imagine what a 250-pound guy can do with a 3-proof type of technique, where it's a very sharp blade, and that's the goal. So when we're training for the hits, it's like, see, I use the wrist. I don't use my shoulders. I will always have the base, so you can see the base behind it, so I can always create the drive. So when I hit, there's a lot of base and there's a lot of power, and it takes a lot less energy, because I don't have to throw my mass. No, I don't have to go like this and use my mass, and see, I'm putting a lot of body weight behind it. Whereas I'm always using the ground, and I use explosion, and I use the focus energy to a single point when I hit. So when I'm hitting, it's always about the wrist to create the hit, rather than throwing the shoulder and getting all that weight, which can work, but it does take a lot more energy. And like I said, when you're not genetically gifted to be very powerful, very strong, like a 280-pound guy with just solid rock muscles, and you're like a 180-pound guy who's lean, you're not going to get that size as he is. So you got to focus on your power through the speed, the mass, and the technique. So instead of like throwing my shoulder where I have a breaking point, where I had to use a lot of body weight to get there, I can learn how to use the ground. I can use the earth and generate a lot of power that way. So when I'm like, now I can use the ground, so I can hit with much more power coming from the base side of it, and the drive with the focus, rather than losing that and just trying to get more mass and throw more weight. And again, I'm not taking that away to anybody who does it. You can still hurt someone if you're strong enough. But like I said, when you're a 120-pound guy, 130-pound guy, and you got to fight someone who's 250, it's not going to be in your advantage. You want to use the earth. You want to get your root. I always say there's 2 ways to get forward energy, right? You either use your lean, your weight, and throw your body into it, or you can use the earth and ground yourself, right? If I had to push something, either people would go, "Ugh!" or people would be like, "Ugh!" Okay, when you ever have to help a friend move some furniture or something heavy, it's 2 ways. You either root or you lean into it. Rooting is the way you can get more power without trying to rely on your size. Leaning into it is using your size and your strength. So learning how to use your wrist really is how to, with the base and the drive, to get your power to create these hits. So, and it allows you to move very fast. So when you're moving, you can just generate a lot of speed, a lot of power, without relying on your size so much. Because I use the earth, I use my hips, I use the timing. All this is the training. And then I use at the very end, like a whip, I snap and I use my wrist to change that angle every time. So I can change the hit. So rather than go like here and get more of my body where I'm like throwing more mass, I can literally just and generate that from the root, from the turn of the wrist, and create that power just from that wrist. And again, 3-proof. We always talk about 3-proof. You got to get the base to drive to get the torque to work. And this is how you want to do it all the time. And so changing your angle and your wrist to change different punches is great. But when you do it through the shoulder, it's more time consuming, it's more energy inefficient, it's more telegraphic, and it relies a lot more energy to get your mass to move. Throwing your body weight. See, I don't throw my body weight. I focus my body weight rather than try to throw where part of my energy is here, part of my energy is here, part of my energy is here. I'm like an air conditioner with a lot of open windows. So in order to keep the house cool, you have to have this very powerful air conditioner. I'd rather just close all the windows so I don't have to use as much energy and keep the house cool that way. So that's the idea of learning how to use the ground, turning your wrist and getting the power for the waist and generate that snap at the last second. That's how that's how we want to use it, okay? And so, yeah, you can always turn your wrist from this, but again, when you do it from the shoulder like that, it's no good. When you do it from the hips and the wrists, so you can see here versus like here, that's where you're losing the efficiency.
Hope that helps. Lots of good information there. Hope you guys were paying attention. If not, you can always watch the replay later and catch up on that in case you missed all of that. Let's see what other things. I think Akbar, he pretty much covered all the gamut on that. Let me know if you have any other questions in regards to that. We did take care of Matthew. Akbar, I see you have some other questions, but I'm going to see who else has some questions first and come back to you. Family, for those of you on YouTube, if you ever want your questions to go to the top of the line, there is something called Super Chat. If you notice right below where your comment is, there's a little $sign next to the emoji little spot. You just click on that. It doesn't matter how much, how little. We're grateful for anything that you guys want to be able to bless us with to help us keep doing what we're doing. And it could be for a comment, question, or just because you want to share some love. But that is another way that you guys can get your questions to the top and jump ahead. The Magic of Eric says, thank you for relating many different martial arts. I used to be a tournament fencer and was amazed at how closely it comes to Wing Chun. Awesome. Very cool.
One of the reasons why Bruce Lee adapted fencing because of that shuffle stop, the lunge in and get that closure.
There's a lot of good stuff in fencing, absolutely. KS says, hello, Sifu. Oh, hey, Morris. Sorry, I just saw, he says, wing it. KC says, says, hello, Sifu, and hello, everyone from Germany. What is your suggestion to respond to endless Wing Chun chain punches?
You're talking about this, right? When people do this? Okay, there's a lot of simple answers to beat chain punches. One is if you're not a traditional Wing Chun, take them to the ground, okay? Most of the Wing Chun's very high. They're not guarding here. They're focused on trying to walk in. I've seen that a lot of times. People will get into like, move, and they do like this. So yeah, their concentrated energy is here. So don't be there. Get to the bottom side and shoot into the body, okay? The other thing is you can use your legs and go in for the midsection and just stop them, stepping back, because fists have long range, right, for the arms, but it's not long as someone's leg, unless you're a midget, or unless you're very, very short, okay? You can step back and get the kick in, okay, if you have enough space. Now, if he's rushing you where you couldn't step back enough, that's where the bum rush comes in, okay? Again, that's all based on your space and your timing and whatever you do. So if I'm back here, like she's like, we're like here, and I see her coming at me, I don't know where, you see the camera here.
I would say you should have Sifu Larry do the chain punches because he's way more impressive at this. Come on.
But anytime, like I said, if we're standing mid-range here, I would not say to do like, if we're standing more like in this place range here and they start to, I wouldn't say to do the kicks. They'll close in long before that happens, okay? If we're like more like standoffish and we're more like this and I'm going like this, that's very, very fast.
I can't even chain punch.
I know what's going to happen. I'll chain punch and he'll just kick me.
Okay.
That's why. To see how fast you are.
I don't want to kick faster.
It doesn't matter how fast the hands is. The body can't move that fast.
I know. I'm just going to get kicked. I don't want to be kicked.
Come on, take one for the team.
Okay. Now the other thing is, like I said, and it all depends on your range and your response time, and it also depends on your training, right? If you don't know how to tackle someone, you don't know how to fight on the ground, then I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Well, yeah, no, definitely don't.
The other thing that you can do is very good. Anytime like you have a certain space of distance, move to the side, cut to the angle, get your body to cut 45 degrees this way. Their body's very exposed from that because they are exposed. Any attack always has a positive and a negative. Like I said, any movement always has a positive. There's always a strong point, always a weak point. Okay, so that's why, like a shotgun is very effective at close quarter.
Right.
Not so much at long range, right? A sniper gun, very good for long range, but it's not good when you're going in urban areas, going from corner to the room and raising that long barrel. It's just not effective. Everything has its place and its timing. Okay, so chain punches works, but it should work generally when you can trap the opponent's hands down. or you can shut his hands out to the side or
So
something.
close quarter.
When mid-range, okay? When you can get that close mid-range to get the hands shut down, then you should do the chain punches. But to walk in with just a chain punch straight off the bat, it is not very effective because the guy can move away, for one thing. If he has the space, he can move away. Two, he can shoot in. Like I said, me, I probably just shoot in from the side, get him and take their core out from under here, and I know how to take it for the ground and know how to strike to the ground. So that's me. Now, if you don't, like again, depending on your range, you can kick, you can cut the angle. If you're short, cut the angle, just shoot 45 degrees out, cut to the side and turn your hip into the strike. Get the gut, then you can strike, counter strike. So that's another way. Or if they're just coming off the bat and you've got a longer range than them and they're coming in on you, just shoot straight in.
Man,
don't,
right in the face.
Remember, don't think how to stop someone by defending. Think how to stop someone by hurting them. So that's why we always tell our principals, don't think of defense because it thinks of how to stop them from attacking you. You have to think counteroffensive or offensive movements. Yeah. You know, everything I've showed you was always offensive or counteroffensive. She was coming on this, I bum rushed her, right? I used an attack. She came from a distance, I kicked her. I did not do anything where I go, say she comes in with chain punches, oh, you want to try to change it? Like, are you kidding? They'll just come in and kill you because you're not doing anything to stop them. 3 things stops the opponent from attacking you. Always remember these principles. Knock them out, lock them out, or they get what they want. Now, obviously, if they're trying to hurt you, kill you, that's not a feasible one. If they want your money and you can give it them because they got a gun, then give it to them. So it's not worth it. You could always make more money, right? But when they're trying to hurt you, you got to follow one of those 2 principles. Knock them out or lock them out. You know, the bum rush to get down the ground, get to a lock or hit them, that's fine. Or create a counter hits. But don't think how to parry a punch. Like, you'll never get that. Okay, when they're coming, don't walk into me. Okay, when they're coming in for all these punches, I just bring my guard, but I just go straight in. I will turn my body to get the longest range possible to maximize my energy to a single point, and then I can follow through with that. So I'm always thinking of how to attack or counterattack. Same thing as she, like I said, I can cut the angle and go for the gut punch and go for the head afterwards. I'm finding the attack or counterattack. I am not finding how to deal with all these punches. It's like a guy coming out with a knife. So
you're ignoring that part altogether.
You gotta think of yourself as a guy with a gun and they got a knife. Right. Let's say she wants to stab me from a distance. I'm not gonna be like, bang! Like, I'm not going after the knife. I'm just gonna go bang because my mental state is, I believe that the bullet's enough to stop them. Now, if I don't believe the bullet's enough to stop them because it's shooting paper wads in me, I will try to stop the knife first because that's my head is like it's not enough to stop them. But you got again.
You have a water gun, might not
it reiterates my point that you must learn how to do damage. If you can't do damage, you're wasting time. You train to do damage, and that's not saying that you can't learn intercepting hands because again, intercepting hands is a form of attack. But when you're starting to do like movements where you're pushing the hands out of the way, that's defensive. Don't hit hard, this will hurt you. But when you start to hit counteroffensive.
It don't matter, it don't matter. Yeah,
when you start to think to do damage on points, then now you can start putting pressure on them rather than putting pressure on you. Right. Our mindset when people ask questions, how do you deal with someone who does this? It's like, listen, it's a question of not how do you stop them from doing that to you. The question is, where can I attack them with that technique? That's what you got to think of. You know, when people throw a hook, they'll throw a hard punch. You know, we don't bring our hands and block them, okay? We bring our hands up to strike them, I am not here to defend. I'm here to attack or counterattack. And the difference between the two is whoever lands the hit first. So she throws the first punch, I'm throwing a counter punch. If I went after her first, I'm throwing an attack, right? I go counterattack if she attacks first, but that's really what counterattacking or attacking is. It's who throws the first punch.
Right.
Okay. If she's putting her hands up and I go, bah, that's me attacking her. If she wants to throw a punch, don't throw it at her. I'll just do it like. But I'm doing it. I'm damaging her for a second. She throws the first punch, I'm counterattacking then. That's the only difference is. It's who's throwing the first punch.
Right,
that's what called attacking or counterattacking. Yeah. But you will always, in your mindset, have to think of how to create the damage because you will never stop someone just because you blocked their arm or you deflected the arm or you circled the arm because you didn't do anything to stop them from attacking the second one or the third one or the fourth one. You got to create damage or you got to lock them out and isolate them. Okay, police officers, when they cuff them, you know, what is that? Somebody, what do they call it? Somebody in custody, right? So once they cuff them, they don't worry because they know that they're not going to be able to do anything except kick or spit. That's it. You know, if they kick them, they can just tackle them to the ground. The guy's got no hands easily. You know, subject in custody is what they say. So once they cuff them, they don't worry about it no more because they took away the weapon. All right, so do the damage. Take away, either lock them out, where like cuffing them, or you can do wrist locks, elbow locks, finger locks, whatever, or damage them. You know, can cause damage to the muscles, to the bone, to the nerves, the cavity, whatever. Okay, so that's how you
Take
want to
'em
deal
out.
with anyone who comes at you. Find a way to attack. Find a way. Cut the angle, shoot in, or kick. Again, that all depends on your range and your ability to do what you got to do.
All right, all right, all right. Good stuff. Whew. That was a lot. That was a lot going on there, y'all.
Your mic is off, I think. Dominic says your mic is off.
No, it's on. Can you hear me okay?
Maybe your battery's dead.
I just changed out my battery, so you're able to hear me okay? Can you hear me okay now? I wonder if the wire was just loose. Matthew said thank you for the reply, talking about the training stuff earlier. Errol says thank you very, very much. C. Jamie, we respect you. I respect you too, brother. Thank you for the love. Let's see here. It just jumped on me. Panera says your patience and willingness to continue to provide guidance to those who want to learn is very gracious. That's what we're here for, fam. Glad you're enjoying it, Panera. Good to see you. I haven't seen you on in a bit. Matthew says, what do the symbols around the yin and yang on the back of the hoodies represent? The 5 animals and the dove represents Christ, which is our faith. So,
the dove also, biblically represents peace.
Yep.
So, that's really what we have. It's not about learning to be violent. It's learn how to control yourself to find peace.
Right. And to hopefully prevent violence. But
and just remember,
in the event you need to.
Peace is always found at the other end of war. That's what they say. So if you have to fight, in the end, you can make peace out of it.
Yep. So yeah, there's multiple meanings there. But I think we actually have that in the FAQ section if you want to know the exact ones and stuff like that on the site too, Matthew. You can go check that out. But that is what we have. Let's see. Phantom says, I hope not to offend you or something. Is it only me or is your hair changed in like a year? He's gotten a lot more grays in the past 6 months.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And also my dark skin's not helping highlight that white.
Right. It's like zzz, neon gray right now.
It's just age. It's just what it is.
Yeah. I mean, he's been slowly getting more gray, over the years. But like I would say in the past, maybe even the past 3 months, like all of a sudden out of nowhere, there was like a acceleration. It's a crazy job and everything that we're all having to, work extra. And forgive us if we are looking a little more rough than normal. But yeah, that's part of life, right? Things change, things happen. Phantom also says, I can't learn Wing Chun anyways. I don't have anyone to practice with. That's not true. 2/3 of your training can be done solo. So I tell people all the time, there's that saying, if you build it, they will come. Well, if you start training and sharing what you're doing with other people, you're going to find a training partner. And we also try to help people to find training partners on the site too.
Here's a good thing too. If you have a place where you can train in martial arts, it doesn't have to be Wing Chun.
Yeah.
You can have practice with other people from different arts.
Exactly.
Which actually, to me, if you practice the Wing Chun that you learn from the site, let's say, you're going to be more well-rounded than someone who's training in a Wing Chun school. And the reason why is because Wing Chun, nobody really fights like Wing Chun unless you're trained in Wing Chun. Out in the street, nobody fights center line and holds their hand.
Right,
nobody does chain punches. They'll give jabs, hooks, rounds, and they're more boxer, street style fight type of thing. So if you can practice in a school where you're doing like Muay Thai or karate or Krav Maga or whatever other style there is, right? Or Kung Fu, another Kung Fu school, you can take what you learn and you can practice it, and then you can use that in your school to develop your. I always like to say, a training partner isn't somebody you're getting better with. It reveals your training. Okay, he'll expose where your weaknesses are. See, so you train to get better, but you spar with someone, you train with someone, so you can see where your pressure is off, where your energy is off, so it reveals where you're off. So that's where having a training partner would really help you. But to develop your skills, that's where you can practice on your own. Okay, you use that to get better, and you use a partner to reveal where you're off to help you. So going to like a karate school. Now, that just depends. If he's just teaching you garbage, then maybe you shouldn't go there.
Right.
It's like, throw your shoulders in there, throw that, and just use all the strength. It just depends on your school that you go to.
Yeah. You still got to find a good teacher.
What's good, if he's open-minded, says that you can practice, my style and try new things. Sure. But if he's yelling, he's like, no, you don't do that. Now, then it's his pride that he doesn't want to sit there and say that what his system is doing is not as complete or as effective. So he doesn't want to get challenged by another style showing that his system is ineffective. And I can totally understand that. But a good teacher is always open-minded and say, hey, that's effective.
Yeah, we
that's
tell
good.
our students all the time, you want training, go check it out, try it out, test
we
out
have
the principles.
People who are learning from us or training from other schools, and they're like, oh, we use your technique, and it really worked. People are like, how am I hitting hard? How am I hitting fast? How to get in? Like, so it's good that you can find a school. It doesn't have to be a Wing Chun school to learn Wing Chun. You can learn Wing Chun principles and techniques from us, and you can practice that from different schools and just to see. And what's good is like you're not going to get caught in that traditional just straight line Wing Chun fight, because again that's not realistic fighting. That's traditional rules, competition type of fighting where everyone's doing the same thing. In the street, not everyone's doing the same thing. So it's good actually to learn how to spar with people outside of your training system. So find a school, train there, learn, and don't dismiss what they do as wrong. Modify it to make the energy work right. Like if they tell you like do a horizontal punch, that's fine. Do 3-proof horizontal punch. Don't do shoulder horizontal punch, and it works. And like I said, there's no such thing as where your method of technique is wrong. It's the method of movement, the energy behind it that's wrong. I always like to say karate. I love karate's hand positions. They move really, really good in those positions to get these blocks and everything. But the energy behind it, that's where I say it's off. Tweaks, They don't have the 3-proof. They do all from the shoulder. They all shoulder. Well, I teach it from the wrist and the base and the drive and all that stuff. So I've done, like I said, I've done seminars where I've done in karate schools where I would throw a punch at them and they use the karate block. I plow right on through. Because they're doing it from the shoulders. Then I teach them 3-proof, doing the karate block, and I teach them don't do it from the shoulder, do it with the base drive and the torque of the wrist. And, I have them practice it, and then they can actually use it to be effective when somebody's throwing a punch at them. And then the people throw punches, and it's like, oh, I hurt their arm, like not the person practicing, the person punching. They can feel the difference because now it's not receiving energy, it's initiating energy. You're not letting energy come to you, you're putting energy into them. You're not throwing your shoulders where all the stress goes in your shoulders. You actually do it through the base and the wrist, so the shoulders don't feel the stress. So you're doing all these things that help you learn how to control energy better. So that's why, like I said, practice the principles. Take what he teaches you and apply 3-proof through that. And that's going to help you in everything you do, even boxing, Muay Thai, MMA. I've taught guys who were like boxers, and I had them hit me, and then I taught them how to do 3-proof, and they saw a huge improvement. Before, they couldn't even move me backwards. I would move them backwards, just doing 3-proof, and they throw their shoulders, and they bounce off me. And these guys are like 220 pounds. I'm only 165, and they're able to just throw all that weight. And it didn't do anything because it wasn't focused, it wasn't channeled right, the technique was off a little bit. And then I would refine what they do. I didn't change what they did and say, look, you can't throw the wrist this way. I would just say, when you do it, make sure the base is there. I do the 3-proof. And it enhances them. And they use less energy.
Yep.
A sharper knife does not need the same pressure as a dull knife to cut.
So when there's a will, there's a way, as the saying goes. And, it's doing what you can now and then working out the kinks later on and stuff like that. We have lots of people that are training with us that do not have training partners right now, but they're still working on them. They're still making improvements on a regular basis. So I saw that you also said you don't have a Wing Chun dummy. Again, it's not a necessity. Now, if you want to learn the jog forms, okay. But as Ed said, he says, I don't have one, but I have a door frame, right? So, you might have access to trees. There's ways to get creative and work around the things you don't have. Never let the limitation of what you think you don't have stop you from doing the things that you love. Back in 2009, when I first learned about what Sifu Fu was teaching from Sifu Larry, I didn't once go, oh man, I don't got a training partner, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like, I was like, I need to do this. I know this is like what I'm supposed to do with my life, and I'm willing to like build the website, do whatever needs to happen to make it happen. Now, it took a long time before everyone was ready to make it happen, but it eventually happened because I didn't give up and I didn't quit. So don't think about what you don't have, think about what you can do right now, and the rest of it will work itself out. Would you like to add to that?
What's the question?
He's just basically, I don't know if it's a he or she, but F Phantom says, I can't learn Wing Chun anyways because I don't have anyone to practice with. And we're just saying that, there's ways around that, and that's not necessarily necessary right now. There's so much for them to learn and do and grow. And like Sifu said, they can go to a different martial arts school, find training partners that way, and work out things like that.
I don't know everybody's personal situations. I think it more has to do with the person's personality than it does with finding someone to train with.
Well, that's what I said. When there's a will, there's a way.
It's
so
easy to
work around
find
that.
people to train with. What's not easy is to convince yourself that you might want to actually put yourself out there,
step out there.
People. And I always say, you know, how you present yourself, it matters. And when I was young, in my early 20s, I probably didn't present myself right because I ended up finding training partners who tried to take my head off.
You up.
Yeah. But then as I kept training and I got older and smarter, wiser, I guess. I presented myself different. And I think one thing is you have to represent whatever it is you're doing. Like for me, I used to wear my martial arts shirts everywhere as I went. So it was always a conversation starter with people who were interested in martial arts. So you know, you kind of attract into your life whatever you're about and whatever you're into. So finding someone to train with, it really is a matter of changing what you're looking to do, right? Like I want to play music, I got to find musicians to play with. I want to do martial arts, I got to find martial artists to train with. Or training partners, or training pets, or training spouses, or training brothers, or sisters, or whatever it is you have. But somewhere, somehow, some way, if you want to do something bad enough, you can do it. That's my thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was laughing because I saw that John said that Sifu gets louder when he gets really excited. He does. There's been so many times that like in video editing, like we have to like the sound gets clipped and stuff because when he gets really excited, he gets super excited. So you know when his voice goes up, you're about to get hurt. Okay, so just that's a little tip for y'all if you come to seminars or anything like that. If Sifu starts getting really fast and talk and it starts getting really high, you're in trouble. It's gonna hurt, okay? There was some other comments that I wanted to go over. James said, elbows in, hand always above elbow, question mark. So is the hand always above the elbow?
Not really. If you're hitting someone, it's not always above the elbow. Sometimes it's horizontal to the elbow, depending on the way you strike. But the best way I could say is hands. The elbow's always supporting the hand through the arm. That's what you want to think of. Elbow's always supporting because the true base has to have a drive. The true drive has to have a torque. So the elbow's job is to indirectly support the arm, or directly support the arm, which indirectly supports the hand. That's what you always want to think of. It doesn't have to be underneath the hand, but it supports that drive to get the hand the energy it needs. See, because the wrist can't torque without the drive. So the drive can't exist without the base. So the elbow's always pushing to get the base forward so they can get the drive present so they can get the torque proper. So that's what you want to always think of it like that. It's not always underneath your hand, but it's always there to support the hand. That's the best way I can say it.
Awesome. He told me, says, well, that changed my perspective on training forums, talking about stuff earlier that we were talking about the training forums. Again, as long as you're training and training properly, there's no right or wrong way. It's really about finding the groove that works for you, because we just told you 3 different ways that we all, attack our training and stuff like that. And they all work as long as, again, you're training properly. That is the key. You don't want to be wasting your time doing things improperly because that's not going to help you grow.
It's going to make it worse, actually.
Yeah, it's going to make it a lot worse. She saw me and says, brotherhood, stay alive. I'm not sure what that was in regards to, but right on, brother. All right. Let's see. Kia says, when will we have further seminar videos in the members area? The latest is already so long ago, and this kind of video is so valuable to learn online. Well, Chaos, I don't know where you're located, but here in New Jersey, we actually had planned on doing tons of seminars. At the end of 2019, we had a huge seminar schedule set up for 2020. Unfortunately, we didn't know there was going to be a pandemic. And here in the state of New Jersey, we weren't able to do any kind of seminars where we would actually be able to touch people. And at least in our training seminars, if you watch the videos, which sounds like you have, there's definitely contact, so we weren't able to do that. Then there was travel restrictions of people coming into Jersey, or we thought about us leaving, but again, most states were shut down anyways, so that really wasn't an option. And then we were going to have seminars in 2021, and we put out some surveys, and I spent actually a couple months planning all kinds of stuff out for everyone. and we had 7 people that were ready to come to seminars. So unfortunately, it just was not, that's why we haven't had any of the seminars in that long. There's just things under our circumstances that we could not control, and it just was what it was. But we are looking to have a seminar for our 8th birthday here at Anna April 29th through May 1st, which May 1st is our 8th birthday. So I did send out an email last Friday trying to get, a pulse to see if everyone's ready for seminars yet or not. So hopefully, God willing, we will have a seminar then. And if so, then there will be more seminar ones. If that does not work out, we are going to start working on putting together online seminars. We will also have live stream for our public ones too that we'll have in person. But that's why you haven't seen it. It's not because we don't want to have seminars. It just has not been a fruitful situation
So if
for
you
us.
want the seminar,
Yeah, email me.
say you want to go, make the effort to come, because it has to be something where we need to have a minimum amount of people for the
20
seminar to
people.
work. 20
Yeah.
people at least. Okay? So if you're thinking about it, just sign up, do it. Let us know that you're interested so we can prepare accordingly.
Yeah.
We need to know exactly how many people will come.
And if that date doesn't work out, we'll shoot for a later date and see if everyone's ready. Maybe like more towards the end of the summer or things like that. But worst case scenario, we'll start having online seminars due to everyone's crazy work schedules and stuff right now. They would probably be held on the weekends, and we'll figure out like how the format would be. If we would do maybe an hour and a half, over the course of, 5 or 7 weeks, or, would we, do it like a traditional seminar where we would be, online with you guys and gals, doing, 5-7 hour days with breaks and stuff like that for people, for lunch and, going to the bathroom and grabbing a drink and whatnot. So we'll hopefully know more after we get everyone's input and everyone lets us know. I will be sending out another email tomorrow. In case you didn't see the last one.
Wait, let me make sure my mic's on. I gotta explain this to these people so they understand. They don't understand. You're not doing it right.
I'm not doing it right?
No, let me explain to you. Listen,
Okay.
we don't know what act of God is going to happen. We all could die tomorrow in a car accident.
Please,
We won't have
Lord,
no
let
more
us stay
Air
alive.
Shaolin.
Please, Lord, let us stay
If there's an opportunity for you to touch hands with Sifu Fu, take it. Find out a way to take it, because you are not going to understand what we do unless you touch with
100%.
us.
No, definitely not.
You're just not.
It's going to take it to the next level.
So if it was me, I'd go. And I've went to plenty of seminars and spent thousands of dollars going to seminars. Because,
remember that one in DC? We went to that business seminar.
Oh my God.
We spent like
because let me tell you something.
$2,000
If something is
just for
valuable,
admission.
yeah. If
and
something,
learned.
can I talk, man?
Sorry, I was just
okay.
you had me going for a second there. Woo!
If something's important to you, you'll figure out how to do it. And I'm serious. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. Well, the time is available.
True.
Seize it, because time's fleeting, and none of us know how long we have for anything. And who knows?
Or what the crazy governments of the world are going to do.
Here, let's not go there.
I'm just saying, it's
All I'm
been a
saying
wild, wild
is,
west up in
we're
here.
planning a seminar. You should plan to attend it for yourself, right? You should do it for you.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
You don't
They
know how long I'm
are
going to be here on this earth.
invaluable. Or any of us for that matter. So you as well. But God willing, we all have many, many, many fruitful, wonderful years ahead of us. KS, I will also say, if you like that more in-depth type of instruction and stuff like that, since you are a member, if you can, Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m., same time as these ones that for the public. We do have, I send out a thing every single week about an hour beforehand, so let me know if you're not getting our emails so I can check. I just need to know what your name is. Just email me, support@charlotte.com. Let me know your email address for your login, and I'll double check to make sure you're getting our emails. But we send those out. We do live critiques. We go way more in depth than we do here on these public ones, because obviously, our fam, we're going to go 110%. So definitely check those out.
Here we only go 100.
Only other thing I want to add, really, is if you don't come, you don't show up, you're never going to find out what it is we're talking about, really.
Right, you can
You're
have
not
an
going to go to
idea.
other schools. You're not going to go find what we're teaching, because he's the person, right? This is the person. I don't know how to explain it to you any more than like.
I think he's saying you better just
This
come
is your
to seminar.
opportunity.
That's what I got. So
Don't. He's ready to go to his maker. He wants to go now.
don't go yet. Sifu, don't go. We're not ready.
It's not my choice. It's his.
All I'm saying is.
Are you kidding me? You were
wanna make
egging
it.
that on for a while now. We're like, Sifu, stop. We get times are tough, bro, but it's not now. We got C. Rubio coming in from Mexico. Errol says, don't get stuck in a style, otherwise you will not be able to adapt to change. Absolutely. We got Wing Chun and application. Waven, what's up? How are you? We have Guy coming in asking, could you make Aikido effective for the street? Absolutely, right?
Listen, anything can be effective as long as you know how to use the energy properly. Here's my problem with Aikido. It has to fit that mold for Aikido to work. If a guy's striking and not grabbing you or committing to weight, it's not going to work effectively. Okay, you know how hard it is to grab someone's hand? If I told her, just grab my hand if you can, okay?
Okay.
If I go like this, grab my hand.
I can't.
You're never going to grab it. People who strike. Now, if I was a grabber, sure, Aikido can work because I'm committing. I'm putting force. She can now grab my hand because of position, its place, and it can work. If I was one of these drunk guys who throws my weight and I have no body, and she can do that. But when you're standing to a guy who's sober, angry, and he just like wham, wham, you're never going to grab those hands, okay?
No.
It's just not, because remember, it's not going to be there longer than half a second. Okay, when they're grabbing, it's longer than half a second. I go like this, it's going to be longer than half a second. I go like this, it's not going to be there half a second. So grabbing is not really effective unless you go into the bum rush and you can take them to the ground, isolate them from moving away. That's where really the locking can work well. But have you ever watched an MMA fight where a guy's striking and a guy can just lock his hands out of nowhere or lock his elbow out of nowhere? No, because he's not going to leave it out there long enough. It's not practical.
Right.
Okay, it's practical when you see them in the grappling state. Then they can do arm bar, they can do ankle lock, they can do a choke, shoulder lock, finger lock. Well, finger lock's not allowed. But that's really, Aikido can work in the right situation. And again, I say everything has its strengths and weaknesses, but it has to be applied right. Aikido can work, like I said, when somebody's grabbing you, going like this, about to punch you, then you can take the hand and lock it. But on a striking level where the guy's just striking, he's balanced and knows how to keep his posture properly, you're not going to take him in a lock. It's just very hard. The only way I could see that you can take him is you can close in on him and do half a choke or something like that. You're not going to get those hands out. The hands are too fast for you to lock any hands or arms out. They're just not viable. They are viable when this happens. Right. They're not viable when people are going like this to you. It's just not viable. To catch a hand, even at my level, if I told her just punch and pull back, for me to catch her hand like that out of nowhere, even when I'm ready, it would be very, very hard. Right. Because one, she's not committing to the movement. She would retract and draw away. For me to catch her hand and try to like do it slow and try to go like into this movement while she's trying to punch fast and go back, punch and go back. For me to catch and it would never happen. It would just never happen. If she grabbed me, sure, because this committed, then yeah, absolutely I could. Because it's there, it's long and half a second, she's committed in it, she's not withdrawing the energy. So yeah, that's where Aikido could excel. When it comes to locking, you have to master the art of locking. Don't master the art of moving somebody, 4 or 5 different movements just to get them on the ground. Find the most efficient way to take them down in that moment. In other words, I'm not going to go if she grabs me and go like this. Like I'm not going to do this, 3, 4, 5 different movements. Okay? If she grabs me like this, I'm going to get into that lock and go right into it. I'm going to find the fastest way to put them down to the ground quick. So that's what you want to do. You don't want to do these fancy movements where you're moving to the side, getting them around, pulling his head. That's not going to work in real life. Okay? Nobody's going to leave it there for you unless they're paid to in the movies.
Absolutely. All right. And we also have, I know that, Yahav, he's adapted a lot of the principles, but he's also learning Tai Chi and things like that to what he does with that. So I'm sure, I see some of his videos and stuff, I'm sure like his training is 10 times different than what it used to be and everything, because he had to adapt to make it more effective, which is what, again, that's what we were talking about earlier today. Don't get stuck in the styles, y'all. Take what's good, leave what doesn't work, or find a way to make it work. And enhance
the energy behind what you do to make it work. It's not necessary that the technique is bad. I always say, the technique don't fail you. You fail the technique often.
Right.
If the technique is sound. Obviously, if they're saying, oh, throw a shoulder, legal weight, we're not talking about that. If you do proper technique and it fails, it's not because it failed you. You failed it. You didn't do the technique right.
So Panera also had another comment that I missed earlier. Sorry about that. Panera said, I really appreciate the humility and open-minded approach the three of you display towards your audience. Thank you so much. You have
We
no
don't have an
idea
audience.
how much
We have a
that
family.
means to me. Thank you so much. But yes, it is our family. But thank you for that. Much love to you. So appreciate that. All right, so we covered a phantom. We got that. I'm just going through, seeing if there's some goodies that we can answer real quick. I saw that the magic of Eric said I'm in the same position, talk about, not having a traditional wooden dummy, but they made an impromptu wooden dummy with 2-inch diameter dowels and lumber holding it to my post of my clothesline. That's getting creative and improvising, and that's what it's really about. Again, utilize what you have, and eventually you can upgrade. We did the same thing when we started Enter Shaolin. Our camera equipment, our sound equipment is completely different than what it was when we first started out. We started with the budget we had and the resources we had, and even now we still don't have like the perfect everything and setup, but we utilize what we have as best as we can, and as we can, we improve and upgrade that. Your training should be no different. So good for you. That's awesome. Bob says, I'm old and need techniques to have any chance at all. Oh, Bob, I love you, bro. But yeah, everyone needs good technique. But I know what you're trying to say. I know what you mean. Matthew says, that's one thing I like about Wing Chun, energy efficient and good for smaller people. And yeah, everything that we do here is good for people to do. Like we don't teach on that. If it doesn't work for the meekest and the weakest, then it's not something that we're gonna teach. Ralph says, evening family. Being from Taekwondo, I still have the fast side kick on an attacking opponent, even at my age. I have no idea how old you are, but okay, that's awesome. I love your slant kick effectiveness better though, Sifu. Nice. And he also said, at my age, I have to strike first and minimize my movements. Got to get it done fast and quick. And honestly, like, I don't care what age you are. If someone's attacking you, why would you not want to get it done fast and quick? Like, why would you want to take the potential of it dragging out and them being able to like pull out a knife or a gun or something else, you know what I mean, that could happen when you're dealing with, an opponent on the streets and stuff like that. You should, no matter your age, want to make it quick, efficient, period, end of story. John says, my fencing coach loved it that I was a martial artist. I could see things faster than most of his students and he would use me to help get them faster as they could not get in on me and could see them telegraph. See, that's awesome, John. That's really cool. And I didn't know you did fencing, so that's cool to know. Do you still do fencing? Let me know, brother. Errol says, attack their attack. No defense allowed. Yes, no defense, period.
Do you ever see Cobra Kai, the 4th season? And it was... I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it, so I won't say anything.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it for them.
But it used what I said to do in the video.
It did.
And
it sure did. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out. You'll enjoy it, especially if you enjoyed the previous ones and the previous movies too.
Daniel's son was wrong.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, there was some interesting stuff. Definitely, if you guys like the movies from back in the day, if you haven't watched the series already, I promise you, for the most part, I won't disappoint. I think the previous season ended kind of in a weird spot, but I think they made up for it for this season. So, and they definitely left a lot of cliffhangers. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on. All right. Good point, Larry. How old Bob is old? Right. Everyone does have a different definition of what old is. That's a good point, Ralph. Tracy says he gets inspired, got positive energy flow going. It's hard to stop. Yes, correct. Ralph says bucket list for making one of the seminars. Great ride for taking my Harley in that location from Dallas. Oh, okay. You would definitely have some scenic routes coming from Dallas. That would be a little bit of a long trip, but a nice trip.
Hey, this one.
Eddie Toby, I tried a bum rush anti-grappling from the site. Apparently, I'm not doing the damage to the neck area to stun my partner. I think my base is off. Well, you know what, brother? If we're going to be on tomorrow, we can
I can pretty much say what you did wrong without even looking at you. It's common what people do as a mistake, and I can probably tell you without looking at what you did. I can probably guess what you did wrong, and I know what you did wrong, where you didn't do the damage.
Do you want to talk about it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll cover that tomorrow. Just remind us, brother. And if you're not able to come on, just shoot me an email, and we'll take care of you so you can watch it on the replay. He told me that come to seminar even if it's just me. Well, you know, we do have where if you guys and gals want to come and train on, you know, a specific subject or whatever, we can do like, you know, basically mini training boot camps and stuff. If you want to come for a 3-day training thing, we can work that out. You know what I mean? So if, you know, you can't make it to the seminars, but you want to come train still, we can do that, and we can cover, you know, like, and make it kind of like a seminar format for you. But, you know, like I said, it'd be more like a, you know, mini boot camp type of thing. Or if you guys and gals, you know, have a training partner and you guys just want to travel and do some stuff too, we can work that out for sure. Outfit Boss says, can you do a front two-handed shirt grab defense for women's self-defense? Sorry for asking multiple times. Sorry, Outfit Boss, I didn't see your previous question, so I only saw this one come through.
I can tell you, first off, don't think defensive.
I think,
So,
didn't we?
we've done that many times.
Is that on?
It's on the site.
It's
on the site, but I don't know if he's a member.
I think, did we do like a mini version of that?
We did.
On YouTube
Yeah, it's
too?
on YouTube.
Yeah, okay, so if you go, brother, if you go to the Inter Tai Chi YouTube channel in the search and type in women's defense, I believe
It's in there somewhere.
there is a couple or at least one video on that specific thing. So
Yes,
go
there is
check it
one.
out. Go check that out. If not, there definitely is on the site, or a longer version for sure on the site too. So go check that out after we get off of here. And if for some reason you can't find it, let me know next week. I will, you know, go and find it for you, or you can email me at support@entershallon.com and I will send you the link myself to help you out. Ralph says, I agree that keto movement, I have improved certain things in the grappling part using your gripping technique, Sifu. It has improved tenfold. That is awesome. Very cool. She's telling me since I have to go soon to make money technique work. I feel you on that one. No problem. Yeah, Silas says, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Yeah. All right. Bob says 61. Bob, you're still young. You really are. You're still young. There's still easy. At a bare minimum, you could live another 60 years if you want to. Bare minimum. You could have just double the life that you have now. So that's still young.
And John, I never said it didn't look pretty. I just said it's not effective. There's a difference. The goal is to make it pretty effective.
Right, make it pretty effective. Right?
It's just pretty.
And effective. There you go. All right, let me just double check here on Facebook. Looks like we got everyone. If we missed, Stan says New Jersey is where it's at. Well, we are in New Jersey. Is New Jersey where it's at? No. But, you know.
I think he means a seminar.
The seminar, yes. I was going to say, if you're talking about this in general, no. High prices, high taxes.
Lots of
No
corruption.
bueno. Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. But yes, the seminars will be held in New Jersey, in Glassboro, New Jersey, to be specific. So Brian Katz says, roger that. Hey, Lester, good to see you on. Brian says, they have to hunger for the buffet, and you have fabulous offerings. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Brian said, good evening also. Hey, Joseph, good to see you on. Hey, brother. All right, I think we got everyone caught up. All right, family. Well, it's been fun as always. Thank you, guys and gals, for joining us tonight. And if you haven't already, please like and share. Also, subscribe. And we'll see you next week. If you have any questions between now and then. What's that? Keep talking for a minute. If you have any questions between now and then, you can always email us at support@entershallon.com or give us a call at 1-844-9-KUNG-FU. And if you are ready and not a member yet, and you're like, you know what, I really want to dig in deep to all the stuff that they're talking about, learn about Nodak Na, maybe some Tai Chi, some Wing Chun, Chin Na, some grappling, definitely come check out what we have to offer you and go to entershallon.com/join and become a member. For those members that are on this, we'll see you guys and gals tomorrow. All right, family, peace and love y'all. God bless. See you next week or tomorrow if you're a member. Bye.
Thank you for coming and watching our webinars where we answer your question. Today, I have a question for you. Have you ever had a problem where someone's size and strength makes a difference to you? The bigger and the stronger they are, the harder you find doing the technique. Have you ever had trained so hard and then have someone come out from nowhere just because he's genetically bigger? You find that it's very difficult for you to do as well? Have you ever had a problem where you put a lot of energy into it and you feel you got very little out of it? Have you ever asked your teacher a question on a technique that you couldn't do and his explanation was more like, get stronger, go faster, go harder? Well, you don't need to do that. What you really need to do is understand how the energy works behind what you do, because it doesn't matter how big a person is or how strong they are. The reason why you have problems is because you've never been taught to control the energy. You've been taught to overcome it or try to prevent it altogether. What we teach you at NDN is how to manipulate energy while it's there. Not try to beat it, not try to get rid of it, but use it to your advantage. NDN is about a system of converting energy and manipulating that energy to help you become more powerful through his force. Couple that with yours, and not yours against his. The beauty about NDN is it's not a style. It doesn't lock into what you should or should not do. It locks into how you should and how you should not do. NDN's motto is, don't let style define you, let energy refine you. And NDN is all about learning how to feel, manipulate, control, and utilize that energy to your advantage. And you're probably wondering, like, how could that be? If someone's stronger than me, how can I use it? The analogy I always like to use is, no matter how big a vehicle is, as long as you control the steering wheel, the gas pedal, and the brake, you can control the force of that car. Or he could be the gas pedal to the world's most powerful car. You're the steering wheel. He says how fast he wants to go and when he wants to go. You're going to tell him where to go with it. Everything is based on energy, science. Nothing is based on belief or philosophy. Everything is based on science. If we can't prove the physics behind it, then we don't bother teaching it. So come, join us at Enter Shaolin and see what NDN is all about, and it'll change your system forever.